absolutely, flawlessly iconic. Doesn't really strike me as a blaster. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel, and it's been a while considering I've been relocating. Obviously, it's not the same set anymore, and I hope you like this new one. I do, because it feels a bit more mature in my opinion. However, we're gonna take a look at a set today that makes me wonder what year we're living in, considering when I was growing up in the early 2000s, there was the buildable Technic Droideka and the buildable Technic Battle Droid. And those sets are now on the shelves. And another set that is now back on the shelves since the early 2000s is Jango Fett's one. My bad, Jango Fett's Starship. This is a set that I've wanted since I was a kid, but unfortunately I missed out on a lot of Lego Star Wars sets as a kid because I didn't really know what they were. They were cool, I did not understand the significance of it, but finally, since the early 2000s, this baby is now back. I was very generously gifted this set for my birthday from our channel sponsor, aka my partner. And I actually got a lot of fun Lego stuff for my birthday, so let's take a look at some highlights from my birthday evening celebrations. Yes! Tack för Palle. What is this? It's a massive Lego box. What?
Very good idea. All ready!
Oh yes. My partner picked this set up for $60. It usually retails for around $69 for 707 pieces. I think that's a fair deal considering where Lego Star Wars is at, and most of the sets from the summer wave were not well priced at all. However, you do get 3 minifigs, 2 of which are exclusive to this set, and I just have to say, Lego, this does not look like young Boba Fett. This looks way more like Darth Dev. If you had just used the Han Solo hairpiece, this would have looked way more like young Boba Fett. As always, before we build the set, let's take a look at the box design. We get our modern Star Wars treatment style design in the front, a decent sized logo in the top left, and our minifigs in the bottom right. And the pretty epic Starship is placed slightly off center here in its flight mode, which as a kid I always thought looked so cool and so confusing at the same time. Is it just me that can literally hear this cover art? The seismic charge is one of my favorite sounds in Star Wars. But when we turn this box around, this is where things actually get pretty exciting, to me at least, because I really do appreciate a nice backside when it comes to a Lego box. Simply because I feel like Ninjago totally is flopping when it comes to creativity and inspiration or just play features being displayed on the back. This is how you do it. This is how it's been done for years. We have some play features being shown, how you can display the set with the little like landing gear side build cart thing. But you can display this set however you want, but you can display it vertically when it's in flight mode, and also you can just put it down horizontally and it's in landing mode. Super cool, super confusing as a kid, but this is very nice. Thank you, Lego, for getting it right. With that said, let's crack this bad boy open. Once we open the box, we get 6 bags, which I think is the perfect amount for a set like this. I quite prefer these medium-sized sets only because it feels like a chore when you build these massive sets, and sometimes they're just big for no reason. We get a few stickers, which is fine. It's not too many, it's 5. But then, unlike the early 2000s, we're getting these super boring instruction books, and it's a disappointment every single time. Gotta have a good tray, so let's build this thing. Starting off with bag number 1. So, Pied Piper, you want to tell me what this little pink piece is doing here? And considering there's 2, did the designers get 2 cakes? You tell me. Starting off, we have the Boba Fett minifig. I don't recall him looking kind of emo like Darth Dev. This is not it, but there is a quick fix. I think it looks a little bit better and more accurate. You might want to get a darker hairpiece, but this strikes me as a little bit better than the Darth Dev hair. However, to be totally transparent with this review, I think we gotta keep the Darth Dev emo hair and call it as it is. This is not a great minifig, in my opinion. When I see these pieces, I instantly remember all the play features that this brought me as a kid in like castle type sets where it would be kind of like a trap door. Interesting to see it show up here. I guess that's how we kind of load the bombs here. It's been such a long time since I built a fun Star Wars set, and I feel like they're kind of rare these days. In 2007, I was buying a lot of them. The Sith Infiltrator, the Naboo Starfighter versus, what is it, Vulture Droid, and the Battle Packs. There haven't been that many that caught my attention recently, but this, when I saw it and when I heard the rumors that the UCS version would get a play scale, I was like, that's the one I want. Because a UCS set for me, generally, it takes too long. The Cantina was fun, but it's kind of like a little city more than it is just one massive ship. But thankfully you can put Jango Fett and Boba Fett inside of that ship. Not sure if it's a one-to-one scale, but it is huge. One thing I remember with the original design for this in the early 2000s was that it used the Bionicle Puhatu like feet weapon pieces. So they were using Bionicle Technic pieces on these sets, and it looked kind of weird back then. Definitely looks weird now, especially for people that didn't grow up with Bionicle. It must look very strange. But I miss that time when Technic pieces would frequently show up in the system sets. It still does to a degree, I guess, with Ninjago sets. It's kind of like Technic-esque pieces. But back in the early days of like the 2000s, you would find a lot of Bionicle pieces making appearances in system sets, which I thought always beefed up the sets very quickly and kind of saved you pieces. So it looked good for the time-ish. This always feels criminal because this is not an easy thing to detach. And now we're doing it again with even smaller pieces. Here comes the cake. Someone tell me if they had the original design from the early 2000s, because I don't fully recall Lego sets having this much color hidden inside of it. I can kind of get behind why they're doing it so that your kind of mock pieces become a little bit more diverse if you want to disassemble your sets. Some of the other Technic droids that I thought were super cool in the early 2000s was the Hailfire droid, which was, I mean, again, a lot of Bionicle pieces was used on that, which I thought was super cool. But there was also the B2 Super Battle droid, I think it was called. And I actually just saw it now on one of those marketplace apps for 70 bucks. And for some reason I didn't buy it. It was brand new sealed. But if you want to see sets like that coming up in the future, let me know in the comments down below and I'll try and get my hands on sets like that and rationalize it in my head why I'm spending that kind of money on old sealed sets. This is a great start for this set. Very play scale friendly. A lot of details so far. I'm super excited. Let's get into bag number 2. Are you looking for independent reviews that go above and beyond? Subscribe today for free of charge. One thing that I mentioned before is that I really don't like gray sets, and something that's super fun about this is that this part is blue with some pink and red. What do you even call this type of green? I guess it's bright green. And then you have these sand green pieces too, which I just think is such a delight to get to play with some colors too. Not too many, of course, but it's nice to have a Star Wars set with color. And that is our second minifig. When building such an iconic ship, it's quite fun because you already know kind of where these things are gonna go. I mean, not that Lego invented this ship, but the color blocking is just so great. I'm so glad that there's this much color on a set like this. Okay, so now things are really coming together. Iconic shape from the back and the front. Bag number 3. These paper bags are better at keeping the pieces in than letting them out. One of the original design features, and I'm not sure if it's a play feature, But one of the design features was that the wings were kind of balanced in a way that when you lifted the ship, it would rotate around with them, which is a play feature or design feature that I think they've kept through every single edition. I'm not entirely sure, but the original one sure had it. And we add it as such. Iconic. Absolutely, flawlessly iconic. I mean, look at that pretty good shaping going on right here. I'm pretty glad to have this set, and not only am I happy to own it, but the fact that Lego, I feel like, is making so many great sets that aren't necessarily toys, but at the heart, Lego is a toy brand. I mean, the name is based off of the Danish words, what is it, lege godt or something like that, which means play well, and play should be at the heart of, I think, most of their products, which I don't think is at the heart anymore of all of them. I know that the UCS version of this also looks really good, but I'm super impressed that it's looking this good in the play scale version. Definitely worth the money and the time. When it comes to a playset, this is exactly what I'm looking for. Something that fits in the palm of your hand, and if it's smaller, like a child's, this thing will be massive. And it just makes me super happy to see that there are still some really great playsets out there. I really do want to get that battle droid with Stap, but that thing is so overpriced and I can't really find it in that many stores. It seems to almost be a Lego exclusive here in Europe. And another one of those yellow pieces that just make it pop so nicely. And then having these pieces to kind of smoothen it out too. Yeah, I like this a lot. So iconic, come on. Bag number 4. The first step in bag 4 is putting down one singular one of these studs. I have never seen this little holographic looking diamond thing. This is definitely giving a bit more like the Wicked or Lego Friends vibe. I'm very surprised to see this little thing showing up here. I can already tell there's going to be a lot of snot techniques on the kind of stomach of the ship, if you can say that, or the front. Aha, okay, so this is here to give it an angle. I guess if you've built the set before, maybe you've experienced a similar technique, but yeah, okay. Yes, swooshability 100% will be present in this set. The like diamond thing might be some sort of cushion. I thought it was going to be there because it's rubbery. I thought it would be there for some sort of like, ah yes, this is the power crystal that powers the Jango's Starship. This should have been printed. Adding a sticker on a piece like this was quite tricky. Swoosh. Looks pretty cool. It's small, but it's to play scale, and that's what I love. That's why I got this version, not the UCS version. Bag number 5. This is the first skirt piece that I've ever gotten, and I've always wondered if they had these leg pins. And this is our last minifig, Lama Sue. Now this is NPU. Wow, that's nice. This is the first time I use one of these stud shooters. I have to say, I don't really buy this piece as some sort of blaster. I think if you added some sort of translucent piece to this, it would have looked a bit more like a blaster, but just adding one singular piece like that doesn't really strike me as a blaster. Now we're making the cockpit, and I will say it doesn't feel like we're compromising that much, even though this is like a play set and it's downscaled from the UCS for sure. But it does seem that this set has a lot of similarities with the Mandalorian version that came out in the early 2020s. So maybe that's why this set is so good. They've done it once and now they can do it again in a different color scheme and put it on shelves again. And people like me will be like, oh my God, this looks great. Because it does look great. Look at that shaping right there. This is so great. I'm so excited to swoosh this thing around. And finally, bag number 6. A plastic bag in a paper bag. Lego, are you saving the environment or not? Now we're getting on to the wings. Okay, but this is kind of cool. I thought it was supposed to rotate by itself through gravity, but I guess maybe that's the UCS version. Gotta pay extra for gravity. And now we attach our second wing. I think we may have unlocked gravity. Ish. Okay, so we got the windshield. It has significantly shrunk since the original, significantly, but I'm not super mad at it. Oh, he can wear his jetpack in the cockpit. Little Boba in there, and then we put Jango right in front, and I assume that that's what's gonna lock them in. After a fair amount of fiddling around, both Jango and Boba can sit in the cockpit, and Jango can actually wear his jetpack inside of it. The last thing to build is the stand and the seismic bombs, and we have a lot of pieces left. Usually I don't love these side builds when I feel like the pieces could have gone towards the set itself, but in this case I think it's quite generous of Lego to give everyone a chance to get a version of the Jango Fett's Starship. Considering that it is kind of locked behind a super expensive paywall that not everyone can afford, nor does everyone want to spend that amount of money on one singular Lego set. So I think it's quite nice that Lego put out 2 versions, and with this side build you will be able to display it the same kind of angle as the UCS set. So I think that's very generous and a neat idea. It's a side build that makes sense. This is the front, and then that goes there. Oh, okay. So there's a handle on the back. Let me show you. So here you can hold it like this, so it swooshes around like it does in the movie, instead of having to hold it kind of like this, which you can also do, but I mean, that is pretty neat. Then we load the seismic bombs. That's it. Before we take a look at the Starship itself, let's take a look at our 3 minifigs. Jango Fett may be set exclusive, but it's because he's missing arm printing, which the UCS version has. However, for $60, I'd be satisfied with this. The dual face print is nice, and the ability to plop on some hair is quite nice too. Boba Fett. What person looks at this hairpiece and thinks, yeah, that's the young Boba Fett one? Dual face print like Jango, seriously, this already looks way better. Lama is a set exclusive, and it's an interesting minifig. I do wish, however, that these skirts were way less blocky, but otherwise, it's a nice minifig with a quite unique head mold. As always, we gotta hit some categories to rate this baddie, starting off with play value, followed by building experience and building techniques, then price, and finally, execution. In terms of play value, we get a fair amount of stuff. We get the Starship itself that comes with a bunch of fun play features. We get the 2 required minifigs, Jango and Boba Fett, along with Lama suit, which is a nice inclusion as well, and this docking stand that you can use to kind of reinvent this scene from Camino, because I don't really recall it being there. To get the most out of this play scale set, I do think getting the Obi-Wan's Starfighter would be a great pairing, especially if you want to play out that space chase scene with the seismic charges. However, you do not need to get any extra sets. If you just want this set, you can just pick it up by the back from its little handle and swoosh it around, and I promise you this has great swooshability, or whatever you want to call it, but the play value is definitely here. Although I wish I had my hands on the 2006 version of the Slave One that came with the spring-loaded shooter, this set does pack some fun play features. It does have 4 of these little stud shooters at the bottom, and finding them is going to be a nightmare. Then underneath the ship, you have the 2 seismic charges that you can just drop from pushing this. And yeah, these are kind of the play features that you have come to expect from this set. And it's quite nice to see that they are here and they are represented somewhat well in this 2025 version of the Slave One, Jango's Starship. And to put the charges back in, you simply close the hatch and then open here and put them back in. And then to activate it once again, you just push down here and they come falling out. Is it just me, or can you also hear this set going? Or how about this one? The ship also features gravity rotating wings, which work somewhat well. It doesn't always work, but it slowly gets there. In terms of play value, I feel like we get everything you'd come to expect from a set like this. A beautiful starship, quite compact in a play scale form, with some fun play features, along with 2 mandatory minifigs and another one along with a docking vehicle so you can display your set as well. In terms of play value, that is for sure a 5 out of 5 from me. In terms of building experience, the starship was really fun to build. However, the minifigs, yeah, they look pretty good, except that Darth Dev looking Boba Fett. Whilst building the starship, there's quite a lot of colorful pieces that are hidden away here and there. But generally, I am so happy to see colorful pieces in a theme that generally puts out a lot of gray sets, and considering they just put out a gray slice of circle for $1,000, owning this set makes me a lot happier. I mean, what can I say? I like color, and this set truly delivers that. Considering the set is around $70, I am quite happy to report that the back side of this thing is quite detailed too. The design looks roughly 75% the same as the Boba Fett starship from The Mandalorian. However, the blasters did look a little bit better there in my opinion. Possibly other than the colors, it feels like this wasn't a huge improvement on the last version of this type of ship. The docking stand looks way better here than the Mandalorian one. When looking at the original version and the price, you can't help but to feel that there's some shrinkflation happening here. However, this set is way more compact and it looks maybe a little bit better with the right pieces, not using bionicle pieces anymore. Shrinkflation seems to be Lego's motto nowadays because a lot of these sets are just getting smaller and more expensive, which is how Lego chooses to conduct their business nowadays. I really liked how the Technic pieces allowed for the shape of this ship to be possible. The handle on the back also doesn't distract from the ship itself and allows for some very swooshable swooshing. Personally, I really enjoyed my experience building this set and swooshing the set around and using the play features. However, it does look very similar to the last version of this set, and emo Boba Fett just doesn't really cut it for me. So in terms of building experience and building techniques, this is going to be a 4.5. 707 pieces. 3 minifigs, 2 exclusive ones for $70. When you look at the other sets from the Summer Wave, that is a pretty good deal. The set does feel like it's a little bit small, but that just seems to be a current theme of Lego, just shrinking all the sets. However, it does not feel overpriced. I'm looking at you, MTT, and Turbo Stank, and Battle Droid with Stap. Those sets were just overpriced, and I'm not going to get any of them until they lower the price significantly. I got this set for my birthday, and this is the perfect size for a special birthday gift like that. It's a set that you can afford for a loved one, it's a set that you can build in an afternoon, and it's a set that you can have a lot of fun with for the money spent. For that reason, this is definitely a 5 out of 5 from me. In terms of execution, how did the design team do? Well, clearly this is the Slave One, but I'm not sure about Darth Dev here. Otherwise, I think the set looks perfect. It has the appropriate play features, and for anyone that can't afford or don't want the massive UCS version of this set, this is the perfect alternative, along with anyone who just wanted another playscale version that has been patiently waiting since 2002 for another one of these. And that is not counting any macro fighters. Personally, I really love this set. It has pops of colors, it looks the part, it has really fun play features. The only real downside is that hairpiece on Boba Fett. However, you can always swap out the hairpiece for a darker version of Han Solo's hair, which makes me wonder why LEGO didn't just do that to begin with. In terms of execution, my final score will be a 4.8 out of 5. Our final score ends up being a 19.3, and that feels pretty good. I really do like this set. However, it's probably drastically smaller than the 2002 version, but that's just where we're at with LEGO today. The set has all the play features that I would expect it to have in a timeless design translated very well into bricks. The set comes with a display stand, a handle to swoosh the set around, and overall, this is the kind of Star Wars experience that I'm looking for with LEGO sets. Some fun play features, a pop of color, and full-on fuel for my imagination. But with that said, I feel like I've almost collected all the sets that I actually liked this year. And speaking of years, on Sunday, October the 12th, it will have been 1 year since I uploaded my first ever YouTube video, and I'm so thankful for everyone who watched that LEGO Star Wars Cantina video. And I am super thankful for everyone who's been following me since, dropping comments, liking the videos, and subscribing. It means a lot to me. It's not that easy to put yourself out there. Thank you everyone for your continued support, and I am honored to be part of this LEGO YouTube space. With that said, I now need to go and walk my dog.